Welcome back to Real Clear Politics on Sirius XM. I'm RCP White House reporter Phil Wegmann, and I'm joined now by Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, who released a tranche of emails last month showing FBI agents celebrating the indictment of senior Trump advisor Peter Navarro. Navarro ultimately became the first White House official in history to be jailed for contempt of Congress. He served 4 months in jail and has since returned to the White House with the president. Senator, tell us what you found in those emails that was so alarming.
Well, the short answer is political weaponization by the FBI. Probably there's more than one person involved, but if I had to tell you the one person that seemed to be at the beginning of it and through it all is a special agent by the name of Timothy Thibault. And when he heard that Peter Navarro was going to be challenged, he's quoted on email, wow, W-O-W, wow, how great he was that finally his work is going to come to some good and actually carry out the ultimate of political weaponization, which ended up being the 4-month imprisonment of Peter Navarro, completely in violation of any person's rights when the whole government goes after you and concocts a case against you just because they don't like you politically.
And the FBI agent in charge of this case, Timothy Thibault, he was also involved in the Hunter Biden investigation until he resigned after a whistleblower told you that he was trying to undermine and bury some derogatory information about the former president's son. Is that correct, sir?
That's right. He didn't. It's more or less just not necessarily a whistleblower. Just go through the email and texts and things like that. The social media realm. He was very, very liberal and very outspoken in his views. Something that an FBI agent should never be proud of doing. And it was that exposure that told me this guy is not very diligent about impartiality. And I talked to the FBI director about it, and he was removed and soon out of the FBI. But just think of all the damage he did before he got there. In one particular case, he laid the groundwork for what been one of Jack Smith's cases against President Trump as one example.
This isn't an entirely backward-looking conversation because House Republicans are calling on senior Biden aides to testify about the former president's condition in office. And the White House has even called on the former First Lady to testify about Joe Biden's condition. If those Biden alumni refuse, do you think that they should be held in contempt and face prosecution like Peter Navarro?
Well, the problem is in the case of Peter Navarro and him or the people that Nellie Orr was involved in, they were suggested for lying to Congress, but there was no evidence, and then the statutes of limitations run out. There was no charges brought against them, and they're getting off scot-free.
And with regards to the Biden officials, I know it's not a completely analogous circumstance, but do you think that if they refuse to testify before Congress, that they should be held in contempt?
If Congress doesn't fall through when it draws a red line, and I think a subpoena is a red line, then you don't get respect for the law. On the other hand, the Congress can suggest, as I did in 4 cases, in regard to the people that came with lies about Justice Kavanaugh when he was before my committee several years ago. I suggested 4 people lying to Congress. Now, that's not quite the same as your question about subpoenas, but in either case, it's up to the Justice Department to pursue it. And to me, it's if you don't follow up on these cases, it just encourages more lying to Congress or more disrespect for congressional subpoena.
And you had mentioned Nellie Orr a moment ago. She was the consultant with Fusion GPS who worked on the Trump-Russia collusion, according to conservatives. You recently reviewed a tranche of more emails from Orr, and you said in a press release that she lied. What did she lie about specifically? And is this another situation where the statute of limitations has run out? Or would you recommend that Attorney General Pam Bondi bring charges against her?
Well, she can't now because the statute of limitations are run out. So she's getting off scot-free. But she lied before Congress in 4 instances. I'm not sure I can give you the details of the instances of what specifically, but it doesn't matter. A lie is a lie. And so we got this information from classified FBI analysis confirming that Fusion GPS, she was a contractor for them. Nellie Orr lied to Congress about her role in advancing the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. And as I've said before, failed to prosecute her, can't be prosecuted now, even though we know that she lied. So I asked Director Patel to declassify those documents. He did exactly that. So then, as you stated in your question to me, he declassified the FBI analysis, and the FBI and the DOJ's failure to hold her accountable for committing felonies demonstrates disturbing political bias at the agency that hopefully now is behind us. And we have a guy like Patel in. We have a guy like Pam running the Justice Department. Hopefully this won't happen again.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 instances that you just laid out, Nellie Orr and then Timothy Thibault, FBI, the Trump administration and Republicans would point to that as clear-cut examples of weaponization. But your Democratic critics will say that Trump has gotten into office and he has weaponized the justice system against his political opponents. What do you say to that criticism? And then is there some type of larger structural reform that could place the FBI and DOJ out of and above the partisan fray between administrations?
I don't think there's a parallel to answer your question, but I think that there's no doubt. I've shown through what I've released an attempt to cover up, an attempt to initiate all this stuff secretly within the Justice Department and the FBI. And the difference is that whatever the president's doing is very transparent and open. No effort to cover it up, a willingness to show what you're trying to correct. And I expect President Trump to be within the law when he takes any actions that he takes, and to be transparent about it, where we find out just the opposite took place in the previous FBI, even an FBI under a Republican administration.
Senator, you've been generous with your time. Before I let you leave, I do want to ask you, are you tracking any changes to the Supreme Court, any retirements during Trump's second term? For instance, do you think Republicans will have an opportunity to, replace, say, Justice Thomas or Alito or even Sotomayor?
Well, I know that people got to make their own choice about when they leave a position, particularly a lifetime position like being a judge. It happens that the 2 people you mentioned, I hope they're on the Supreme Court for another 25 years. They probably can't be. To answer your question, I have not heard anything along this line. I have not been involved in any discussion of it. And I don't think, as chairman of the Judiciary Committee, that I should give any inkling that I hope these people resign from the Supreme Court, because I think it was utterly unconscionable that Democrats would do that to Sotomayor in the previous administration, and I'm not going to follow that same textbook.
Fair enough. Finally, the president has expressed a recent strong dissatisfaction with the Federalist Society, if you will. He called Leonard Leo a real sleazebag. Do you see it that way? And you voted for each of his Supreme Court nominees, as well as a number of his lower court picks. Do you have any regrets, sir?
I think we in the Republican Party, more of constitutionalists than the Democrat Party, we believe in a constitution based on original intent, and we have justices that do that now. A majority of the Supreme Court feels that way, and the Federalist Society has had a great part in getting three outstanding people on the court, along with two others that were very outstanding over a period of 25 and 35 years. We should respect any organization that believes in the original intent of the Constitution.